Everybody, thank you for joining the ACA Small Business Bootcamp and Resource Collective for this Thursday, August 26th. It is just flying by. I can't believe how fast August has gone by. I'm Robert Theobald, the Small Business Ombudsman and Vice President of Small Business Services at the Arizona Commerce Authority. I'm glad to have you here with us today. As we like to do at the start of all these boot camps, is we like to recognize all of our community partners. Our community partners are crucial for these boot camps. We cannot do it without them. They provide their time, their effort, their expertise for us, and we appreciate it very much. And this is just a sample listing of all the community partners. We do have over 100 plus statewide community partners that support the boot camp. You know, and for those not familiar, the Small Business Boot Camp is designed to help small businesses return from the COVID crisis stronger than ever. It is a statewide initiative, and a great result of all the boot camps we've done is we have a great resource collective and content library. On the link on this page listed below, on the screen is the bootcamp website. Most of you went there to register for today's session, but there's a lot of other great information you'll find on that website besides the registration links at the top of the page. In the middle of the page, you will find the Small Business Resource Collective. And this is a website that we've set up to house tools and guides that are brought to us by our community partners through our statewide network, and even some national partners that have helped with some great content. It is a great resource for everybody. Additionally, one of the great unintended consequences, I guess, when we started this, we started the boot camps back in April of 2020, and the idea was to help businesses work through the COVID crisis for about 6 weeks, because as we all know, that's how long it was supposed to last. And as it lasted longer, we continued doing the boot camps and providing expert content. And with that, we've recorded well over 140 sessions. Today's session is session 180. So we've got close to 180 recorded sessions that are webinars that you can go back and review. You see on the little screen, on the screen, the archive section listed there. And in the archive section, it lists by week all the bootcamp sessions. They are available at no cost to go back and review, download the slide decks, and get that content, that expert content. So with that, it's created a great content library. And you can access all the different topics when you need to, kind of on demand. So please check that out. Additionally, we have the couple of state websites for COVID-19 information. First is the state's general COVID information and resource page, ArizonaTogether.org. And then the Arizona Commerce Authority put together the COVID-19 business resources page. You see listed there, azcommerce.com/COVID-19. And on that page, you can find business guidance, financial resources, and many other great tools and resources for any size business. The ACA also has a number of programs that help support small businesses across the state. We have our Small Business Services, our Workforce Division, and our Arizona Manufacturing Extension Partnership, Arizona MEP. Along with that, we have our Small Business Checklist. And this is a great resource. It's an interactive online resource that helps people that are looking to start a business or relocate to Arizona, or expand their business in Arizona, understand the licensing, registration, and compliance needs at the local, state, and federal level. So let's transition to some business updates. First, we continue to like to talk about PPP loan forgiveness. The majority of the businesses that have not sought forgiveness are the small businesses with the smaller loans. With that, the SBA set up a portal in conjunction with the lenders, and I just got an email from the SBA this morning that said that even more lenders are participating in that portal. So if you still need to apply for forgiveness for your PPP loan, check out the portal. We'll post a link in the chat for all these topics that we're going to touch on real quick. Also, the Employee Retention Credit is a great program to support small businesses. It's another funding mechanism or funds mechanism that businesses can take advantage of. It is pretty complicated. So with that, we have had one presentation on it on the boot camp. We're having another one on September 2nd. So please join us for that session. The Small Business Development Centers, like to bring them up. They are a great partner of ours, and they're a great no-cost business counseling resource. And we're going to post the link for them in the chat as well. But the highlight that I want to really mention is the governor's office just came out with the new Back to Work Small Business Hiring and Retention Program. It is a grant program, and there are funds that will come on available for businesses. Because it is a new program, we are having a special boot camp session tomorrow at 9 a.m. to talk about that program. We will have representatives from the Small Business Development Center presenting, along with some representatives from the governor's office team that is running this program. So we've got a lot of experts that can help guide everybody through the process, what you need to apply, how to apply, and any of the questions you may have surrounding it. So please join us 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. We're going to post the registration link for that as well in the chat. So with that, let's take a look at some of the upcoming sessions. Of course, today is the best practices for applying your CRM. We've got our new business grant tomorrow morning. And next week, we got a couple great sessions. We've got Sell Online with e-commerce tools. This one we wanted to get in at the end of August / early September timeframe, because if you're looking at selling stuff for the holiday season, you need to be working on the e-commerce and the planning of it now. And so this is a really timely webinar for those that want to be selling additional merchandise the Christmas and holiday season. And then additionally, we have, as I mentioned, on September 2nd, the Employee Retention Credit webinar that can help you identify how to get a significant amount of funding back through the IRS. With that, we are going to go ahead and jump into today's sessions. We've got a team from CloudStack 360 with us today to talk about CRMs, customer retention management programs. This is a piece of small business technology that every small business has it in some way or another, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet or a piece of paper that you're writing down. You know, you might have your little black book that you're keeping all the names in, but there's some technology that can make it easier for you. And they're going to talk about the different programs and how to leverage a CRM to help your small business. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Chris and let Chris get started.
Sounds good. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate it. I would go on screen, but I absolutely hate seeing myself while I sit here and talk on a computer. I guess that's the new age that we're all in right now. But let me know when you can see my screen.
All right, screen's up. And before Chris jumps in, if you have questions, please post those in the Q&A box. And we're going to use the chat box for some interaction back and forth throughout the presentation.
Thanks, Robert. Yeah, so that's one thing, right? I don't want to sit up here and listen to myself talk for the next 45 minutes. As passionate as I am about CRM, I want to make sure that you know, when I get up here and start talking about what I know, that people are engaged, right? And that I'm hitting the mark and making sure that, you know, this is appealing to the audience. The thing about these boot camp sessions is, you know, you have a wide variety of folks that are coming on, that are just starting a business, some that are a little bit more advanced, you know, so you have to, you know, put together a presentation that really appeals to all. So again, if you have questions, you know, whether they're basic questions or they're more advanced questions, I welcome all questions, and then I'll stop at the end of each slide to ask questions, see if anybody has any. All right, let's get started. So how can CRM help my business? As Robert had said, I'm Chris Basilippo. I'm the principal architect and managing partner at CloudStack 360. You know, with all disclosure, we are a Salesforce partner, you know, but I'm not here to pitch Salesforce. You know, I know not all businesses are in a position or in a place where they need a tool like Salesforce, but like any software application, you know, you have the cream of the crop, and then, you know, you have some of the bottom them to your stuff, right? So we're here to help you kind of get an understanding of what it is you may need, and how a CRM can help your business, and give you a couple of examples of some free options that are out there, right? If you're just getting going. So I always like this quote, right? You've got to start with the customer experience and work back to the technology. You can't start with the technology. So many companies think tech first, right? Oh, what platforms do I need? What am I going to get, right? And to me personally, that's not really the solution, right? You need to think about your customer experience, right? Think about how you interact with technology on a daily basis, right? You like to work with companies that are easy to work with, right? So think about that when you're thinking about your CRM and what kind of experience you'd want dealing with your company. So what is CRM, right? That's going to be kind of the first kind of basic go through, from an agenda perspective, and then how can CRM help my business? You may hear terms, and a lot of customers have questions in relation to some of these terms, so we spell them out a little bit to you. We're going to talk about building out and looking at it from a 360-degree view of the customer, right? How is that customer interacting with your business? We're going to talk about marketing automation. A lot of folks, get Zoom Info, or they get Up Leads, or they get some other type of tool that's going to help them farm data and put together marketing lists. And there are a lot of tools out there in a lot of different ways, and we're going to give you some ways to really think about that. And then managing your sales pipeline, right? That's where the CRM, I think from a sweet spot perspective, is where it's at, is managing that sales pipeline, which includes managing the client activities, and then reporting and dashboards, right? Getting key insights into what your business is doing on a day in and day out basis, what your sales team is doing, where you're at with clients in the sales cycle, being able to forecast, what is going to be closing next month, next year, right? So as a CEO and a managing partner, I'm not thinking about today, I'm always thinking about tomorrow, right? And reports and dashboards are really the center of my universe in terms of how our company is personally doing, right? And then we're going to get into how I get started, right? Some CRM options for you guys to think about. I'll give you a little bit of insight into each one of those, and make myself available for questions at the end, or I'll give you guys my contact information. I'm not a sales guy, so I'm not here to sell anybody. I'm here to mentor and to teach and to help business owners get started, because we as CloudStack and previous companies that we've started, you learn a lot along the way, and if there was someone to help us along the way, that would have been helpful, instead of having to figure things out on our own. So what is CRM? So CRM is defined as customer relationship management. It's a software platform that's going to help you as a business manage and nurture your relationship with your clients, right? But it goes even deeper than that, right? CRM, that's the literal description, but those are really three bland words that don't tell the story. You need software to help you stay on top of the details, so you as business owners don't run yourself ragged trying to keep up, right? So that's why a CRM is really a must-have for any small business. And I would say anybody in the audience, if you don't have a CRM, that's one of the very first things that I would do after this webinar is go figure out, even if it's a free version of something, just go figure out, what you may need, and at least get a starting point. Or if you're on spreadsheets, right, get off of those spreadsheets and go find yourself even a free option at CRM to really start to paint a vision. So, and what Robert alluded to kind of in that intro, right? Every business has some sort of CRM to manage their business, whether they're using spreadsheets or tracking customers in QuickBooks, even a black book, those are all kind of your rudimentary forms of CRM, right? That's how you've adapted as a company or as a business or a salesperson to manage those relationships. But I'm here to tell you there are a lot better ways to be able to do that. Oops. Oops, sorry, my thing got unplugged here. So your CRM, right? And again, that's a general sense. That could be your Salesforce, or that could be, your pipe drive, right? But it gives, everyone from sales to customer service, business development, recruiting, marketing, or any other line of business that you have, maybe your suppliers, your vendor, it gives them a better way to manage those interactions, right? And track the activities that you're having with those customers on a daily basis. So it assists you really with organization and efficiency. And your CRM platform is extremely powerful when you start to bring in the data, right? And I think the most valuable thing for any business really is their data. In a CRM, depending on which one you get, again, varies the level, is going to record and analyze your calls, your emails, your meetings. You hear the term AI, or artificial intelligence, right? Well, that's a real thing, right? And that analyzes all of that data and all of your day-to-day activities, and helps you improve your customer service, and the system makes suggestions to you to help drive your sales and ultimately increase your revenue. So any questions on what a CRM is? I think everybody probably has a good idea, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I don't see any questions in the Q&A box yet, so
all right, well, let's get deeper. So how can a CRM benefit my business, right? I touched a little bit about this on the last slide, right? And I like to use the word catapult, because if you're not using something now, you will see a drastic change in your efficiency and your ability to reach out to clients and to have a better handle on what your business is doing and what you're closing, right? So we really kind of narrowed it down to these 6 benefits of a CRM. And again, every business is in a different stage, but collaborate through integration. Well, what does that mean? Well, what that means is your CRM can integrate with many, many platforms. So maybe you're using FreshBooks or QuickBooks for your accounting, right? You can bring that data directly into your CRM, so you have a full financial picture, a 360-degree picture of that customer's payment history and how they are paying you, right? You can generate invoices directly from within your CRM that get pushed to your accounting platform, right? That's just one example of many, many, many ways, right? Another example is, if you use Gmail or you use Office 365, you can automatically log those activities. Like this email was sent to X customer, you can automatically log those activities in your CRM without ever having to click a button, right? There are ways to do that. So that's how you have to think about your business, is creating those efficiencies. And the more tasks that you don't have to do and that can be managed auto through that integration, and you're only really working in one platform, that's most beneficial to businesses. And that's where we've seen businesses have the most success. So another one is managing that pipeline efficiently, right? So every single, or effectively, so every single sale or customer you're dealing with is really going to be at a different stage in that sales cycle. So what are you doing with those customers that are early in the sales cycle? What are you doing with those customers that are in the middle or in the late, right? How are you managing that pipeline, right? And that's where a CRM can be a very powerful tool. And we'll get into that in another slide, but you have stages of that sale, right? So I have, I'm prospecting him, I'm qualifying him, right? I've given him a quote. He's, mulling it over. Oh yes, we won this deal. So now I can track that revenue as a one deal, right? Every CRM, whether it's free or it's the top of the food chain, should be able to tell you that. Right. So when you're looking for a CRM, being able to manage those deals or those opportunities, as we call them in the CRM space, that's something you need to look for. So, and I touched on it on number 2, but automate for maximum productivity, right? That's absolutely huge. Your CRM can do that for you. So say there hasn't been an activity on a client in the last 30 days and you want to send them an automatic email, right? The system can do that for you without you ever having to lift a finger, right? And then you can go in and, see that that email was sent, and take it a step further, see that that customer opened that email and see, did they click on a link in there, right? And we'll get into a little bit more of that in the marketing automation piece. I'll stop halfway through. Any questions or any?
So we do have a question that was brought up, and it's a good question. You may be touching on it here in the next slide or two, but it says CRM is very deep. How do you get a game plan together to implement a CRM into a current business? And he said more specifically, what should we focus on to start setup?
So every business, and we will get into this a little bit, but how I'll answer that question, right, is every business has a set of accounts and contacts, right? And we can break those accounts and contacts into kind of two different categories: accounts and contacts that are doing business with us, or accounts and contacts that have the potential of doing business with us, right? And then we need to decide, are those ones that have the potential of doing business with us, those are what we would call leads, right? So you split them up into two groups, and when you're setting up your CRM, you always focus on leads, accounts, and contacts first. That should always be step number one. And then understand, what kind of data am I trying to capture when I have a conversation with my customer, right? What am I trying to capture, right? If I'm selling buses, I want to know, does my customer need a 50-seat bus, or do they need a 100-seat bus, right? To be able to start to use your CRM to manage that business, right? Because again, it goes all back to data. You could have, automation, based on the number of customers that want, buses that have 100 seats. That was just an example off the top of my head. But what I can say to anybody, if I had an elevator, conversation, I would say leads, accounts, and contacts. So hopefully that answers your question for now. We'll get into that a little bit more. So the whole idea of a CRM is to engage your customer and build relationships that they keep coming back to you, and you have repeat customers, and you're constantly top of mind, and you're using automation to really engage with those customers. So, and improve your customer experience, right? So when you think of CRM, and this doesn't have to be today or tomorrow, it could be next year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, but you as a business owner, if you want to grow and you want to expand, you have to think of using some of the other tools. So there are CRMs out there that offer, portals to where customers can log in. They can see how, their account, maybe it's subscription based, manage that directly through their CRM that provides a portal, right? But it's all about improving that customer experience and making it easy for your customer to engage with you, right? And always being kind of front and center and top of mind on your customer. And your CRM is going to help you do that. At the end of the day, as all business owners, we want to increase revenues, right? We didn't get into this to whatever we're doing to not make any money, right? So everybody wants to increase revenues, and your CRM is really, that way. Couple of things: streamlined communications, right? I've touched on that. Customer segmentation, right? You can really break down your customers into customer types. If you have like a Zoom info and you're bringing in 1,000 new potential leads, every single week or every single month, right? You can bring those directly into your CRM, and then you can segment those customers based on zip code, based on credit score, based on whatever data set that you're getting from those particular customers, right? Sales forecasting, that's another big one, right? Is you have opportunities in your pipeline, and I want to know what has the best chance to close and where we are in the sales cycle. And the more and more sales that you get, the better and better it gets at forecasting because, you know, it's using technology to understand your sales cycle. Reporting and analytical data, I'll touch on that in a little bit. You know, another thing is from a CRM perspective is they're all cloud-based, right? So the protection of your data and privacy, that's huge. And that's a lot of things customers ask about. And that's one of the biggest risks for customers as they engage in technology in your CRM. Pretty much all of them, or any of them that I listed on the later slides, are going to give you good data protection. So any questions? Anything, and hopefully I answered that question.
Yeah, it sounds like you did.
Awesome. I got to be mindful of time here. 9:25. All right, we got time. So just some basic definitions, right? A lead or a prospect who is an individual who meets a specific set of criteria, right? It may be someone that you met at a cocktail party that said, hey, I may be interested in buying a 100-seat bus. You know, so you put their name and their phone number into your CRM as a lead, and you start, you know, reaching out to them and setting up calls and tracking that activity. And then once you make connection with that person, and then that you've confirmed, yeah, not only do they want a 100-seat bus, they might want 200-seat buses, and they definitely have the funding and the budget to get those now. That's when a lead or a prospect would become an account or a customer. Right? An account isn't necessarily an actual customer. An account is a potential customer as well, right? That's someone that we say, hey, this could be going somewhere. And the reason that you want to do this is once you create an account, right? That's when you can start creating opportunities or deals underneath that account. So your account is just the individual customer involved with the business, the actual company itself. For us, our account, we would be CloudStack 360. You would have our business address, our website, our business phone number, you know, all of that stuff related to us as a customer, right? And then underneath that, you would have contacts. And that's how 99% of all CRMs work, is you have that account and contact model. So you have one account and I can have multiple contacts under here, right? You could have myself, you could have Nick, one of my business partners, or Rakan, one of my other business partners, right? You could have us as contacts in your CRM. And there you would have our cell phone number, our personal email address, all of that stuff, right? And then we have the opportunity, right? And the opportunity also lives underneath the customer. Okay, so you have two objects, as we call them, right, that are related to the customer. So your opportunities are past or pending sales for an account, right? So this guy that we met at the dinner party that wanted to buy the two 100-seat buses, we would create a new opportunity underneath this account called, you know, we would call it something like 2 buses or 200-seat buses, or, you know, whatever your naming convention is within your company. We would create that opportunity, and then we would put the amount of that opportunity, the day we expect that opportunity to close, and then we can start tracking notes, right? And depending on the CRM you choose, really depends on the level of automation or the ease of automation that you can do. So, and then another one is just really lead generation. So lead generation, and we'll get into this in another slide, is really the process of just reaching out to your audience and building awareness, right? It could be emails to past customers. It could be text messages to past customers. You know, it could be, you know, potential customers, right? It could be those leads that you download from Zoom Info or from UpLead. Right, those is what would be considered lead generation. I'll pause there and see if anybody has any questions.
Nope,
All right.
no questions.
All right, we'll keep going. So I touched on this before, right? 360-degree view of the customer. And you'll hear this word kicked around, right? Well, your CRM is really going to be the epicenter of your 360-degree view of your customer, because CRMs are inherently built to integrate with other software platforms and other data sources, right? Again, back to that example in the beginning of QuickBooks, right? Bringing that data into Salesforce and getting a 360-degree view of your customer. You know, and in the physical world, a 360-degree view is the ability to see everything around you with no blind spots. But when you apply it to your customers, a 360-degree view is a complete view really of who they are, right? And you've probably heard this term, you know, too many times, but it's super important, right? You know, it includes the histories of all of your interaction that they've had with your company, right? Everything they told you during the sales process, you know, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years ago, every time they've called in for service. So maybe you're a service company, right? You can use your CRM to manage service, to manage your service customers, right? For support tickets, you can use your CRM to manage your field service folks, right? Maybe you install windows or windshields. Maybe, you know, you change flat tires. Maybe you tow people, right? Those people out in the field. Maybe you have assets. Maybe you have vehicles, right? All of those can be tracked and managed in your CRM. So when we're talking about a 360-degree view, that's what we're talking about, right? Maybe you have an ebook. We know who downloaded the ebook when, right? I mean, there are just so many ways. You know, having that accurate customer data in one place has a multitude of benefits, right? And if you want to enable yourself, your sales team, and your company as a whole, you got to think about your CRM not just as managing your customers and managing the sales process, but you think of it as managing your business. It's a platform, not just a CRM. I would invite you, and I'm sure that are others, but Salesforce really has the most robust one. I would challenge you to go to appexchange.com, just like it sounds, appexchange.com, right? That is Salesforce's app exchange, and that is just like your Google Play Store or your Apple App Store, right? But it's all centered around applications that are directly integrated with Salesforce, right? And they just, again, I bring them up because you can literally go in there and search, and you can find QuickBooks or Ring Central or Zoom Info or whatever platform you're using to perform other functions of your business, to integrate it with your CRM and bring that data in. You know, HubSpot also has the same kind of app store. It's just not as robust, and a lot of them do. But again, it really depends on where you are in your journey as a business, right? So does anybody, while I finish this slide, have any questions about that 360-degree view of the customers, right? Again, it all comes down to data, and your CRM is going to be the best place to aggregate all of that data, and not just aggregate that data, but once it's aggregated, what the heck do I do with this data? Right? Like, you know, how do I automate it, right? How do I make my customer experience better? You know, but it all points back to a 360-degree view of the customer. And a lot of people say it's unachievable, but you can get pretty close. Ooh. All right, we good there, Robert?
Yeah, no, we're good. We don't have any other questions yet.
All right. Well, hopefully I'm making sense here. Okay, marketing automation, right? So take that example of we bought 1,000 leads, or we have 1,000 contacts, you know, just based on us as a business, right? It's all about getting personal. Maybe you have birthdays, you're sending them. We all get the happy birthday emails, right? That's what we're talking about when we say marketing automation, right? automating things that you can do as a business to help, fill your funnel with leads, right? And make your prospects and your customers think those messages are just for them, right? And like I touched upon before, you can track, segment, and slice that data to make your sales and marketing smarter, right? It's all about the data. That's why Google has become such a powerful company and one of the richest companies. It's the data, right? It's all about the data. So, and you want to use that data that you have to your advantage, right? A good CRM is going to take a lead, and then, take, for example, you have a lead, pardon me. Take, for example, you have a lead form on your website, right? And your customer fills out that web form. And once they fill that out, it automatically will create a lead in your CRM platform, right? And then that lead is assigned to you, to a sales team, to a queue, right? To wherever we want it to go, right? Well, your CRM is going to take that data and give that lead a score and assign it to a campaign, like a marketing campaign. And once they get assigned to a marketing campaign, there are a million different ways that you can go from there, right? So we send them to the, hey, welcome to xyz.com email. Check out our frequently asked questions, and there's a link to frequently asked questions down there, right? So now they click on the link to frequently asked questions, and we're tracking what they're doing on our website. Now we can, your CRM can say, oh, wow, they're interacting with us as a business, increase that score and kick off an automation that lets you know that, hey, they're interacting with us. They're looking at our email. They clicked a link on our email. They visited 5 pages on our website, right? So you can act on those sales when they're happening quickly, right? You can, there are many, many, many examples, right? But it's all about weighting your sales projections and really identifying the perfect lead and giving it to you when it's ready, right? So maybe, they click on an FAQ, you get alerted, right? You give them a call, they don't answer. So we add them to a different marketing campaign that is maybe related to one of the web pages that they clicked on, right? They wanted to know about the return policy. So, we put them in a campaign that tells them about our return policy, and we start hitting them with like, hey, 30-day returns, no receipts, really appealing to them and marketing to them based on that customer behavior and based on the customer data you have in your CRM. And I know this sounds like a big, grand, $1 million thing. With the right strategy, it doesn't need to be that way. And there are so many options out there, even on a smaller scale for smaller businesses, to really, benefit from marketing automation integrated directly with your CRM, right? So we have raw leads, and we're trying to kind of the gold pan, and shake out the raw leads and get some viable leads so we can really start working those. And once we've contacted, or we know, hey, this is a real person, they may be interested, we nurture those leads until we know they're interested, and then they become active leads. And once they become active leads, you might hear this term MQL. They have MQL and SQL, right? Marketing qualified leads. This is saying, hey, as a marketing team or as a marketing tool, we're saying this customer is interacted in a way that we think they're ready to buy, right? And then that's when we send the leads to your CRM. And these two applications always work in tandem, right? You've probably heard of like MailChimp and Constant Contact. There are a lot of platforms out there, and Constant Contact's a really good one for marketing automation and integrating with your platform. They integrate with a lot of CRM platforms, right? And then they sell, they send those leads to our sales team, right? And then your sales team is going to call them, vet them out, and then that's where we're going to create an opportunity underneath their account, right? We've converted them from a lead to now an account. We're creating an opportunity under them, and now we're selling through that cycle. And hopefully, at the end of the day, this opportunity is closed won, and you can count that as your revenue. A lot of businesses have investors, and your CRM can be a great place to run those reports for your investors of, hey, here's the leads, here's what they've done. These ones are closed won. This is what our revenue was this month. You bring in your QuickBooks data, you start tracking your expenses, and you can start really getting down to how much does each opportunity cost to deliver, right? How much does each sale cost us as a company to deliver? And are we hitting the margins that we want? That's something that a CRM can really help you with. Any questions?
We do have a question. It says Salesforce is a fantastic CRM, but it's too expensive for small business. Ended up with HubSpot. Do you have opinion on how much percent of revenue is reasonable to allocate to CRM subscription?
So there are a couple of parts there. Here, is it here in the Q&A?
Yeah, it's in the Q&A. There's another one just popped up in there too.
Perfect. All right. Yeah. Let's talk about this. Right. So yeah, a lot of people say, yeah, it's too expensive. And a lot of companies go with HubSpot. And I'll tell you just a quick story about HubSpot. HubSpot was actually part of the Salesforce ecosystem, and they were Salesforce's kind of go-to marketing automation tool. This was before Pardot. This was before Marketing Cloud. And HubSpot was really like, Salesforce's best friend. Well, Salesforce wanted to buy HubSpot. HubSpot didn't want to sell. So what HubSpot did was they took their super awesome marketing automation tool, and I've got nothing but good things to say about HubSpot marketing automation, and they built a CRM application on top of it, right? So it is a good tool, right? But as a business, you have to ask yourself, I don't have a magic percentage of what is reasonable to allocate to your CRM subscription. But I would say it's probably going to be a very small percentage of your revenue. And depending on how many users you have, and Salesforce, also has other options to work around some of those licensing issues, or, we have licensing strategies. So I can't really give you I can't give you a percentage, but at some point, it's always evolving, but at some point you should be steady state where you're just paying that per user per license cost. Okay. So are you saying that CRMs don't deal with the area above that says marketing automation, and the area only deals with areas labeled CRM? No, these can be managed in Salesforce, right? But what you miss out on is the nurturing, right? And marketing automation tools are going to be a lot better. Your CRM is not a marketing automation tool. Your CRM can do marketing automation, but at a great scale, that's not what it was intended to do, right? That's why HubSpot has a separate marketing automation kind of plugin. Salesforce has a separate marketing automation plugin because, again, in order to be able to run campaigns, nurture leads, to really be able to get down to a granular level, you need marketing automation. So, but yes, to your question, yes, this can be, and these processes can be built into a CRM, but they're not native to most, and you need some type of other application to help. Good questions, though. So managing your pipeline to win. So this was actually a GIF and it was moving, but it didn't translate. So, but managing your sales pipeline, right here, we get a drink of water real quick. So I always say, man, if there's one thing that top performing companies do, it's they manage their pipeline well, right? But how can you improve your pipeline and your processes, right? We'll talk a little, right? But if you're stagnant in sales, right, one of the first places that you should look. And if you reach out after, we've got a couple of links, and I should have added them to this slide, or maybe I can send them to Robert, right? About improving your sales performance and managing your pipeline. But with customers, when we sit down with them, right, and kind of get an understanding of their technology and what they're doing, what their goals are, we always see the biggest gap in that sales pipeline and how they're managing it. So, if you're looking for ways to improve that sales performance, your sales pipeline, again, is going to be probably the most important thing. What is a sales pipeline, right? And I'm sure most of you know, but we'll just kind of get into it a little bit. It's just a visual snapshot of where your prospects are in the sales pipeline, what you've closed this month, what you're going to still to close this month, right? What does next month look like? What does 3 months look like? That is your sales pipeline, those opportunities that we talked about earlier, right? So if you have a pipeline worth 100,000 in contract value and your conversion rate from lead to sales 10%, you can expect to close $10,000 worth of new business, right? So your sales pipeline really helps you to start to be able to forecast, right? And you say, well, what's the biggest incentive to improve my pipeline? Well, it's revenue growth, right? You have to have a set stage. So your CRM is going to have a deal or an opportunity. And in that CRM, it's not rocket science. You'll be able to customize your own process, right? Your own stages of a sale. So, we've got qualified, quote, or analyzing, quote. Some businesses run credit, so you can actually automate the process of running that credit, but you have visibility into where you are in that process, right? You've always got your prospects and leads, and then you're pitching them, qualifying them, and then send them that proposal or that quote. And once they've shown that intent, we move them to the next stage, and each stage is allocated a percentage, right? So if this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, probably 70, 80, we're in negotiation, and then closed one is 100, right? So from a forecasting perspective, if you've got 3 deals in negotiation, well, those deals probably have an 80% chance of closing based on the data that your CRM has accumulated. So you can start to allocate 80% of that revenue for next month. Maybe you've got, in pitched is 30%, right? So you can allocate 30% of that revenue going into next month. And that's something that you as a business owner need to adjust those percentages as you learn, right? So a prospect may be 1%, proposal sent, we may only do 50% of those, right? But at the end of the day, you want to be able to forecast your future business results, right? And constantly be analyzing those strategies for your business. And then that way, what's closing, what's coming down the pipe, and you can manage and allocate those resources in order to close or service those upcoming sales, right? I mean, us as Cloud Stack 360, that's one of the first things that we always talk about is resourcing and what we have it coming down the pipe 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, right? And to make sure that we're constantly able to resource and to plan for all of those projects that we're doing, right? But then again, you can review, if your pipeline's on point, you can review the progress for your current financial year and know how far or close you are from those targets, right? You can set goals and targets for your sales folks, right? To where they have to do, 10 to 15 activities a day. You can manage that, that's part of managing that pipeline, right? Making them log their calls, log their emails, or you as the salesperson or the business owner, logging your activities, right? That all contributes to managing that sales pipeline. The best salespeople are going to make sure they keep following up with leads. And we also want to see that if you're managing a sales team, right? But always remember to follow up. So this was something that IBM did a survey, and 80% was prospecting, right? That's where, you know, it's where people struggle the most. And you as a business owner or as a sales manager, right? You know, have to always be, you know, trudging forward, and trying to get that sale. So, you know, your CRM is going to help you manage follow-ups, right? Help you focus on those best leads. If one thing I can say as a CRM, longtime CRM user, I'm absolutely passionate about it, is drop dead leads, right? That doesn't mean give up after 2 phone calls. But if there's really no option for them to do business with you, quit wasting your time and your money on it, right? Constantly be monitoring your pipeline metrics. It goes back to your sales pipeline. Make sure that you are monitoring those metrics, right? What's closing, when it's closing, how much is it closing for, what activities have been done on that, what should I be doing next? And constantly be reviewing and improving your pipeline processes. Update it regularly. The information in your CRM is only as good as the information you put in there, from an update perspective and tracking those activities. And this isn't always, you know, an option for some businesses, but try to keep your sales cycle as short as possible. And your CRM can help you do that, right? Whether it's a 1-day close or a 30-day close or a 90-day close, right? But shorten that as much as you can and create that standardized sales process. Any questions?
No, no new questions.
All right. Your CRM is going to help you. Oops, hold on. I'm getting some feedback here. Sorry, we're having some feedback in the office. One of my partners joined the call. So managing client activities, right? Your CRM can, like I mentioned earlier, can integrate with your email and automatically log those emails depending on what CRM you get and, you know, kind of what level of licensing you get on that particular platform, whether it be HubSpot or Pipedrive. You know, there are options out there for all of them, and send automated emails based on your client actions. One really big thing is managing your calendar. So if you use Gmail or Office 365, all of your tasks and events, calendar events that are on your Outlook or your Gmail, those can be brought directly into your CRM, right? And when you're working on those opportunities, right, create new tasks, create new events. Hey, I need a task to follow up with them in 10 days, right? I had a conversation with a client and they said, hey, you know, call me back next week, right? So you set a task or an event to call them back next week, and your CRM is going to remind you to do that, right? You integrate with your phone and automatically log calls. So if you're out in the field, right, all of these CRMs have you know, mobile phone applications like HubSpot, and you can track all of those activities, you know, directly out in the field. And then I can't say this enough, set activity goals for you and for your sales team, right? Challenge yourself to send 10 emails a day, to make 10 calls a day, right? Still start tracking and managing that directly in your CRM. I think we're getting pressed for time, so I want to get through all of this. And reports and dashboards, right? So this is really the analytical side. This is kind of the cherry on top of the ice cream. So if you look over here at some dashboards, it lets you know kind of what your closed business is. You know, you have different gauges that you can, you know, and components that you can put together and view this any way that you want, right? And this is pretty standard across all CRM tools. Some are better than others, right? But you have a quick visibility into your sales pipeline, and then you click on this component and it takes you to that data, that underlying report, right? So, you know, okay. Oop. So, you know, there are paid CRMs and then there are CRMs with free options, right? I would say with the free options, HubSpot and Zoho are probably going to be your best bet. Right now, they do offer paid options if you want additional functionality from their free base version. There are upgrades, and then you have to start paying. Sugar CRM is an open source CRM that you can just download to any server, or you can have their cloud hosted version. And by being open source, that means that you can do changes and development to it and all of that. And then Pipedrive is probably a couple of steps below Zoho and HubSpot. It's kind of more of a spreadsheet driven, but it's a free and economical way to at least start to get your accounts and contacts and managing your leads and your opportunities somewhere, right? And then we have, the paid CRMs and all disclosure, like I'd said at the beginning, we are a Salesforce partner. So we're passionate about Salesforce, but Salesforce isn't the right tool for everybody. But I think once you get up and going on the platform and all of the business processes you can bring into it for free or relatively cheap based on the app exchange, it actually starts to pay for itself. And then and maybe I'm biased, but Microsoft Dynamics is probably a step below Salesforce. And if you're going to go the paid version, the paid route, Salesforce is really best in class. And I always tell people there's a reason that Microsoft tried to buy Salesforce 3 years ago. It's because it's a superior tool. So any questions before I wrap up?
We had one question in there, and if you go back to the previous slide, might help, but he was asking about the free CRMs and which one you might recommend that has the ability to start as free, but then might be the best that you can continue to add pieces to it as you grow. That may cost as you grow, but so you're not having to switch.
Right. Yeah. I would go with HubSpot, just because their marketing automation is really good. So I would go with HubSpot 1 and Zoho 2. Right. But what I would do is just go watch a 3 or 4 minute video in each one and go to both websites and see which one, matches what your growth potential could be and what you guys are looking to do. That's what I would say to them. But if I had to, for our business, if Salesforce didn't exist, it would probably be HubSpot.
All right. Excellent. Thank you. And perfect time. And we are right at that time. Any last questions? It looks like we've got one in there. It's just a great, thank you so much for the great information. Appreciate that, Lisa. And with that, we will go ahead and wrap up. Chris, thank you so much for the presentation. Great information, helping us understand the different programs and how we can leverage a CRM to grow a business. So excellent content. I want to thank all the attendees for being with us. We also want to remind everybody about tomorrow's special boot camp session on the new Arizona Small Business Back to Work program. You can join us at 9 a.m. tomorrow, again, for that special session. With that, we will go ahead and wrap up and appreciate our presenters and the team from CloudStack 360 for being with us today and taking the time to share their expertise.
Thank you for having us. We absolutely appreciate it. And if anybody's got any questions, reach out to us and we'll help you in any way that we can, even if it's HubSpot or Zoho, we're here to help. So we're Arizona State graduates, all 3 partners. So we're passionate about Arizona small business, and we want to be the best, local advocate here for small business. So thank you.
All right, thank you. And we will see you guys tomorrow morning, hopefully. Everybody have a great afternoon, great day. Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.